Good morning. This is the continuing series of equine stewardship videos brought to you by Equine Challenge Supplements for Horses. Earlier we looked at the tree. It was a wooden tree, a western type tree for a saddle. Now we're actually going to put a saddle on Shiloh. This is a saddle that was made specifically for Shiloh. Shiloh's a big Morgan horse, big four-corner mare. This has a draft tree to fit her, and saddles didn't fit this girl, so in order for her to ride her comfortably, had to have a saddle built for her. So we're going to throw it on her right now. You're probably asking yourself, why is he throwing a saddle on without a blanket? Well, when you're fitting a saddle, the last thing you need on your horse is a blanket. Right? The last thing. So we want the saddle to fit the horse, and we're just about there. Okay. First things first. Far too many times people put their saddle on based on where the cinch rides. That's not how you fit a saddle. The most important thing is to make sure that the ball, which is more times than not just underneath the concho, this is the concho right here where my thumb is hitting, and between the swell. If you put your hands under there, your fingers will feel something that's protruding. It's very hard. Well, that is the front ball of the saddle tree on this side. So I'm going to pull this back a little bit on Shiloh. That should fit right behind the tip of the scapula. The last thing we want as your horse extends its forearm is for the tip of the scapula, the shoulder blade, to slam into this piece of wood. It's going to hurt. So if you keep doing it over and over and over again, your horse is going to start short striding on you, which means if you're running barrels or doing a timed event, your horse is going to be slower because it cannot reach out, because it's going to short stride. It knows exactly how far it can reach without running the tip of the scapula into the saddle. So when you put that on, put your hands underneath there and make sure that it's in that little pocket. There is a pocket behind the scapula. Sometimes you can see them. If you have a muscled up horse, a little chunky horse like Shiloh, it'll be a little more difficult, but your hands will go right in there when you push. Second thing we talked about, put your hands underneath the saddle and make sure there's no bridging the bar, that the bar is fitting against the horse flush, as opposed to like this or like this. If you were on ice, quite literally, and it's very thin ice, you don't stand, you're on your belly and you crawl off because you're dissipating your weight over a larger area. That's exactly what you want to do with this saddle. You want equal distribution of your weight on all points of contact of that tree, and that's what you want. You can see right here, we're not having trouble with the hip. Sometimes you'll see saddles in which the skirts are really rounded. If it's really, really close, where you have a pad, it's probably going to pick it up and you'll be okay. Okay, but you want to make sure that the back part of that tree is not slamming into her. It won't work. And in fact, if you're riding backwards, it's going to dig into her. You might get your horse to bucking and kicking. You wouldn't want that. Okay, you will find that a lot of saddles are sold. The Latigo is not made of leather. Latigo is a type of leather that stretches. Nylon doesn't get it done, people. It is cheaper and all that other good stuff, but it doesn't, your horse doesn't understand cheaper. So get leather. Leather's going to stretch, it's going to breathe. Your nylon will not. So once again, not a good idea. Also, when you're cinching up your horse, you'll see a lot of people, sadly, they're told, my daddy did it this way, my granddaddy did it this way. As they cinch up the horse, they kick him in the belly because he sucked up a lot of air. Well, if your saddle doesn't fit, perhaps you have other riding issues, your horse doesn't want to be ridden. So yeah, he's used to being cutting in half because you're having trouble getting on your saddle for whatever reason. There's a multitude of reasons. You should not pull yourself up by hanging onto your saddle, hanging onto your horse. Get your leg, you're supposed to push yourself with the strength of your legs up, little jump and up. If you can't do this, people, then use a mounting block. Mounting block will get you on your horse safer. But you don't want this so tight, the kicking and then getting underneath the latigo and just pulling. You're really just cutting your horse off from air. It just, it doesn't feel good. You would know that if we did that to you. It doesn't feel good, don't do it. Your horse may find another mean to communicate that to you that won't be pleasant. We're going to go on the other side of the horse now. Shiloh has a lovely mane. It's beautiful. If you look in through here, we're not going to do it, but you'll see about this much of her mane I've cut off, because otherwise it would be down here and really interfere with the proper fitting of the saddle. More importantly, if your horse's mane gets underneath this, your weight and everything else, it stays there, so it starts jerking on the wither and becomes uncomfortable. So you can see I've rubber banded her here and brought it forward, and then I rubber band all this. You say, why is he doing that? That's a cute thing. It really doesn't look for cute, although it may be. This is very thick, a double mane. And this neck gets very, very hot, so I want to keep it nice and cool. But you have to maintain control of that hair. A lot of people don't want to do that because it's a pain. Well, it's a pain for your horse also. So make sure that when you put a pad on, it's high profile, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So we got plenty of room in here for Shiloh. Nothing's going to get slammed here, not that she has a wither. I get a new one of these every year, and a new pad every year. I don't use this until it just falls off my horse. It's got to be reasonably comfortable. It's like socks that are all fed, you know, there's no padding in them anymore. You know, if you just think about these in the first person, how would you like it if it did blah blah blah? Perhaps it'd be easier for you to make decisions for your horse. Okay. Pads. This is a high profile pad. You can see it's built up. So many of the pads are not, so they keep sliding down, and they keep sliding down. Pretty soon, you know, it's snug on your horse. The wither of your horse. This is the most important part of your horse right here, the wither. This is how your horse changes its center of gravity. As you look at me right now, I'm a biped. This is a quadruped. If I'm going to step up with my right foot, I have to shift my center of gravity to the left. Now I can pick up my foot. Now I'm going to shift it to the right. Your horse has to do the same thing with you on it. Okay, and from about here forward, just carry down the front feet. That includes you, the saddle, and the 2/3 of the horse. So shifting that center of gravity right here is critical for the horse to do that. You know, making a lead change, going around a barrel, reining, you name it. Okay, the wither's got to move up and down when it moves. That's critical. But if you can see, if I put this handkerchief on the end of the hitching post and I'm pulling down very tight, because you know you've just got to cinch this bad boy down and you don't have this built up, well, this can be very hard for the wither to move up and down. Once again, making it more difficult for your horse to do what you want him to do. He becomes more reluctant, he becomes this, and after a while your horse is biting you and just miserable. He's gone sour because you have missed a critical point of having a working relationship with your horse. The saddle doesn't fit, your technique is poor. So hopefully this video will be helpful so that you can get the proper fitting saddle for the proper horse and accommodate your buttocks at the same time. So this is once again, by no means exhaustive in the fitting of saddles, but it is a beginning. If you have questions, let us know. You have a great day, and thank you for choosing Equine Challenge for your horses.